Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into DALTON GREYJOY, the Red Kraken. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. DALTON GREYJOY was the Lord of the Iron Islands, Lord Reaper of Pike, and the head of House Greyjoy, during the late reign of King Viserys Targaryen, and then the Dance of the Dragons. The wild young son of the heir to Pike, Dalton rode at age 5 and reaved at 10, sailing with his uncle to plunder the pirate towns of the Basilic Isles. By 14, Dalton had sailed as far as Old Gis, fought in a dozen battles, and claimed 4 salt wives. Dalton claimed a Valyrian steel longsword, which he named Nightfall, off a dead corsair. While fighting in the Stepstones as his cell sail, the 15-year-old Dalton avenged his uncle after watching his death. Because Dalton emerged from the fight drenched in blood from a dozen wounds, men began calling him the Red Kraken. Later in the same year, Dalton returned to the Iron Islands to claim the Seastone chair, after hearing of his father's death. Immediately he began to build longships, forge swords, and train fighters, citing that a storm is coming as the reason. The Dance of the Dragons began after the death of King Viserys in 129 AC when Dalton was 16. The Red Kraken is said to have laughed after hearing of the outbreak of the war. The Greens of Aegon Targaryen offered Dalton the position of Master of Ships, and the Admiralty to replace Sir Tywin Lannister, who had been made the Master of Coin if Dalton would bring his ships around Westeros to battle Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake. Instead of leaping to the offer, Dalton waited to see what the Blacks had to offer. On the Black Council, Prince Daemon Targaryen suggested appealing to Dalton's bloodlust to bring him on the side of Rhaenyra. Instead of asking him to sail to Blackwater Bay, Rhaenyra only asked for Dalton to attack her enemies. The Red Kraken chose black over green, deciding to attack the nearby Westerlands, vulnerable with Lord Jason Lannister, campaigning in the Riverlands. Jason's wife, Lady Joanna, barred the gates of Casterly Rock, but was unable to protect the rest of the West. Dalton burned the fleet of House Lannister and sacked Lannisport, carrying off gold, grain, and trade goods. Hundreds of women and girls were taken as salt wives, including the favorite mistress of Jason and their natural daughters. Dalton led the failed capture of Case, and after the fall of Fair Castle and Fair Isle, he claimed 4 of Lord Farman's daughters as salt wives, giving the 5th, the homely one, to his brother Varon. Lord Jason was killed in the Battle of the Red Fork in 130 AC. For the better part of 2 years, the Red Kraken ruled the Sunset Sea like the Iron-born kings of old, although he did not claim the title King of the Iron Islands. Sir Tywin Lannister and the Regency of Aegon III commanded Dalton to cease his raiding, but the Red Kraken ignored them. When Lady Joanna Lannister began building a new fleet on behalf of her son, Lord Loren Lannister, Dalton's Ironmen burned her shipyards and abducted another 100 women. Dalton never took a rock wife, although he had 22 salt wives and boasted of having 100. When Dalton heard of the Maiden's Day Ball, he considered sending one of his sisters as a candidate to become King Aegon's second bride. After her Westermen defended Case and slew Dalton's favorite uncle, Joanna sent a ragtag team to discreetly invade Fair Isle. The Ironmen ambushed these Westermen, however, and Dalton sent the heads of Lord Prester, Lord Tarbeck, and Sir Erwin Lannister to Joanna at Casterly Rock. After Lord Alan Velaryon defeated the Braavosi fleet in the Stepstones during the Daughters' War, Lord Unwin Peake attempted to rid himself of Alan Oakenfist by sending him to end Dalton's insurrection. Dalton responded by gathering hundreds of longships to Fair Isle and the coasts of the Westerlands. The Red Kraken intended to conquer the Shield Islands and Driftmark and sack Old Town and Sunspear. While sleeping in Lord Farman's bedchamber at Fair Castle in 133 AC, Dalton was killed when one of his salt wives, the girl Tess, cut his throat with his own dagger before throwing herself into the sea. As the Red Kraken had never taken a rock wife, his heirs were 2 young salt sons at Pike, Torrin and Roderick. Dalton also had 3 sisters and several ambitious cousins. Torrin was only 5 years old, and within hours of the Red Kraken's death, a bloody struggle for succession broke out among the Ironborn. Hundreds of Ironmen were killed as Fair Isle rose in rebellion. Fair Castle held out for a time, but the castle fell after Gunther Goodbrothers slew Alistair Winch, while fighting for another of Dalton's salt wives, Lyssa Farman. Having arrived to find Dalton already dead, Alan Oakenfist led a third of his fleet with the Westermen and returned home for the Crownlands. A bloody struggle for power broke out in the Iron Islands after Dalton's death. In 134 AC, Lord Jason Lannister's widow, Joanna Lannister, avenged the Daltons' raids by having her men-at-arms sail to the Iron Islands with the fleet of Sir Leo Costain, the Lord Admiral of the Reach. Among the Ironborn slain were 2 of Dalton's sisters and 9 of his cousins. His younger son Roderick was taken captive, gelded, and made into Castle Rock's new fool. Dalton's sword Nightfall eventually passed to House Harlaw. The Red Kraken's life is included in Archmaester Mencaster's Sea Demons, A History of the Children of the Drowned God of the Isles. So what did you guys think of Dalton Greyjoy? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.